So, welcome, day 22 of the Awakening Intensive. And so welcome to this day, to this moment that we come together. And great that you're here. I hope you're feeling the impact of this all, just like I do. It's like, wow, I can't believe it. What is occurring? It is so deep, the process that you're in. Like, I speak for myself, of course, but it's like beautiful, so deep. And today I had a day that I could cry about everything. You know, it's like, oh, I'm so at service. Everything is, oh my God, oh my God. Also, like the total not of this world kind of feeling. So that it is amazing what happens, is what I can share from my own experience. It's like, it's amazing. And so everything is helping to stay focused on this path and allow another insertion to come to you. In fact, that's what's happening, like a light insertion. That is more light. The cells we prayed for it yesterday, like the cells are literally praying for it. More light, more love, more, bring it on, like that. So once you open your cells and your body and your being for that, there's a response of the universe. And for sure that you feel that in some way. So great, great, but so different. Like, you cannot explain it to anyone. You can't explain what is going on, because this is so individual and so specially made for you, in that sense, for your undoing, for your deeper experiences of yourself. And so, you cannot do much more than undergo it. Like, it's not necessary, like there's no credits for it. There's no like, oh, wow, you do that, oh, that's awesome. No, it really doesn't matter. Like, everything, literally everything that you build falls apart. And that's just lovely. That's just lovely, because you want to be undone. You want that to go, so to speak, because it has nothing to do with reality. It is temporal. It has nothing to do with infinity. So you don't, it's not connected to your true self, to your true being. But see, I can see these words. And now in this 40-day awakening intensive, it became immediately quite intense. And it just keeps on going, because there's more, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. And that just does not stop. I speak from a lot of experience in that sense. It just keeps going. It just keeps opening up. There's more. There's more. There's a different kind of experience that you did not know about, that you could have. So whether they come from below, from your subconscious, whether they come from above as supramental, or it's like your super mind, your whole mind, whether it's coming from above or it comes from your subconscious, it is all helpful. It is all helpful. So today we look a bit at the differences of that. Like, it comes from below to the surface. Well, you got yourself set up for a beautiful healing, for an opportunity to heal, to have this, what comes from your subconscious, suddenly your awareness to be converted into light. Well, how great is that? That is your part in the being the miracle worker that you are, the miracle healer. But the other part is, and we don't speak that much about it, is when it comes from above to you. And above, I mean, we're going to clarify this a little bit so that there's no confusion about it. Because what is from above if there's no such thing as place? But it's going to be clear what I mean with that. So we read parts of the miracles and revelation part in the Course in Miracles, just as a real sharp, beautiful clarification of what is going on, what it means, and how this is part of you, because it's not an alien idea. It's just you came from heaven, so to speak. You came from heaven, from a whole mind setup. So it's like you come from perfection. You enter into an idea of separation as a human being. We were taught that way. Then something happens and you start to wake up out of that dream of separation. And you get different experiences. So this is the trajectory that you're undergoing. And so then it is interesting to talk about it. So the language that I use is in fact a bit confusing because it's not exactly stating what it is. The direct experience is what it really is. And not the words, not the exercises that we do, not at all. So it's like about the direct and the whole experience that is connected to it. See, and especially in this Awakening 40 days, we have touched already many of the possibilities for you to come into a different experience of yourself. See, that is not one thing. There's a lot. There's infinite possibilities happening. And so stay with me then when I try to use language, not to explain things, but in fact to point in a direction and offer you the direct experience of what I'm sharing. So this is happening to me when I'm speaking or where I'm reading. I'm actually coming into the direct experience of what I say. So then words stop. In fact, you cannot do anything with that. But there's an information that is transmitted or received or recognized or resonating with you that you certainly recognize, that you really feel good about. Like, oh, I'm happy to come back and hear more about it. I don't even know why I'm so attracted to doing that. Well, it has to do with the frequency that's being shared. Of, say, the information that comes to you is doing something with you. And it's because of you returning back to the exposure, so to speak, that this, say, starts to create a momentum inside yourself. So in fact, coming together like this and giving all our best energy to it creates a light vortex that is going to take you literally out of this fabric, of this matrix, of this fabric of time. And we have glimpses of that, we have moments of that, but that's just going to increase. And not because I say so, but because of your dedication to this and your presence in it. So it's more like, if you allow this to happen, if you, say, leave the fear for what it is and, say, are being taken over by, okay, I'm not in control anyway, so I might as well, something like that, then it all goes easier and quicker. And that will give you the opportunity to many experiences that we can have together. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you received the message anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm just basically talking to keep you here, to keep you present. And it sounds weird if I say it like that, but it's actually true. So it's like you stay focused on receiving this frequency. It is not about the words that I use, but there's something else going on, and that is working through me. I have nothing to say about it, but you can feel that, or you can, you feel the attraction to that. All right, so the words. So, yeah, so we're going to share today about, say, the title of it is this, and you can read with me if you want, page 13 of the, so that's a lucky page of the Urtext manuscripts. So the relationships of miracles and revelation. So like I said, the relationship between miracles and revelation. Miracles coming from your subconscious, healing and transcending that, and a revelation coming to you as a direct experience of God communication. So these are two, say, options or possibilities. And so in order to get a feel for the energy and the directness and the closeness and the intimacy that is related to it, and intimacy, I mean really like totally for you, in you, with you, and that is so much closer than you can possibly imagine. But you recognize it. So in the pieces that I'm going to read, it will actually talk about sex, about orgasm, about, you know, that. It's like and talking about an intense energy, you recognize that. It's like, yeah, talking about an intense energy, yes, that it is. But it is being put in place here. And that means that you see in spirituality and sexuality, there's a lot of, a lot of tension or a lot of confusion maybe also about, like, is it good, is it this, is it that, like the normal questions that you could have with anything, but even more here. And so what I'm referring to here is then the complete involvement in the experience that you can have in a holy instant, in a moment of revelation. Is that comparable to an orgasm? No, it is also very personal in that sense, a very personal experience. But it is different. And so here in this text that I'm going to read, it is a bit like put in perspective for you, and that's very interesting. Like, there's nothing wrong with sexual energy. Like, everyone has it. You know, it's like that's part of life. That energy is part of life. But now, what are you going to do with it, so to speak? And how are you going to, can you look at it? Coming from Christ mind, looking at that energy, it's very necessary to take a look at it. So that's why I put it in here too. And so I love to go through that with you to save you, in fact, a lot of, in fact, disappointment, and a lot of, I save you a lot of frustration. And I save you a lot of confusion. And that, to me, is a real speed up. I speak from my own experience in this. So that is so helpful. It is so helpful because, yeah, you'll see. So, let's read a little bit. So the relationship of miracles and revelation. Remember the point about miracles as a means of organizing different levels of consciousness. Miracles come from the below or subconscious level. Revelation comes from the above conscious level. So it's above your consciousness. It is not somewhere else. No, it can be above your consciousness. It can come down to you, but so that the conscious level is in between the conscious level that we're meeting here at this point. We meet here in this conscious level. We're actually reacting, responding, and all that. Yeah, I'll read further. the conscious level is in between and reacts to either the sub or the superconscious impulses in varying ratios. So then Freud was right about the classification, but not the names. He was also right about the content of consciousness is fleeting. So this is about our friend Dr. Freud. Consciousness is the level which engages in the world and is capable of responding to both external and internal impulses, having no impulses from itself and being primarily a mechanism for inducing response. It can be very wrong. For example, if the identification is with the body, consciousness may distort superconscious impulses by denying their source and seeking their impact in the orgasm, in sexual activity. This is the result of the mistaken identity confusion. And that's an interesting thing to read, but it is like, let me explain a little bit. I'll come back to that in a second. So if you will look back at the description of the effects of revelation, you will see that there are some similarities in the experiential results, but hardly in the content. Now we have to find a little bit about revelation, but anyway, I'll come back to that. So here it is, like, so the fact that you have from the above consciousness, like literally coming into a God experience, the tendency for a human being is to confuse it with sexuality, and say let it flow that way. It's not wrong, it's not bad or anything like that. No, it's just, it's not where it was meant for. And it's not where you get, say, the greatest communication for going. So that is really wonderful that it's being said here, because there's not so much written about it. So it's like you get excited about your new experience of, say, your body changes, you're experiencing, say, light and love, your heart opens up, and you feel suddenly like, oh my God, it is amazing, like love and light is streaming through me. But then the tendencies of a human being, or in general, is then to confuse this with sexuality. So that's quite clear if I say it like this. So I don't know if you recognize that, if that came to you. I recognize that, so that's why I share it with you. And so what do you do then? So what do you do? So the idea of revelation is this. It's like an intense moment of, say, fearlessness. A moment in which you're not experiencing fear whatsoever and you feel completely certain. In relationship with your godliness, with your wholeness, with your soul. Like you have a deep, deep experience. You've been turned inside out. Like that. You're being turned inside out. So grateful for what is happening. Like, I cannot speak of it. It is an experience, obviously. That is whole in itself. It doesn't need anything else. You know, it's like this is your personal, intimate moment with God, or with the universe. It's like that's a real opportunity to come into alignment with the universe, instead of, say, letting it say flow, in that sense, flow into a horizontal dimension. So here it is given you can receive this incredible energy for yourself and receive that way. That's my, like, I'm not telling you what to do, but why not receive it that way is the question then. Why not receive it that way completely? and not trying to do anything with it in the horizontal plane. So then it's like the, say, Joel mentions it as an, say, communion with God. He doesn't talk a lot about experience in that sense, because he thinks that that's not necessary, which is great. In fact, you can't talk about it. So that's correct in that sense. But the invitation to you in this awakening intensive is to see how this works for you, and to see your opportunities, and also to say, receive some guidance in how to use this, how to, say, receive the greatest benefit for yourself. So that's why I want to bring this up. And so we continue reading, because there's more. This Revelation miracle chapter is like, there's so much in there. It's unbelievable. Like, it could be a whole book by itself. So, and I'm not going to do that all today, but all right. So for example, the identification is with the body, consciousness. If the identification is with the body, the consciousness may distort superconscious impulses by denying their source and seeking their impact in the orgasm. Like, you want to find a way for it, but if you don't know where it's coming from, like this energy comes from above, then you confuse it with a bodily, say, stimulus or impulse. This is the result of the mistaken identity confusion. Well, see, the mistaken identity confusion is humongous. Like, in the human way of living, it is a humongous confusion. It is enormous. It's like thinking that all that what comes to us is being translated in, say, perpetuation or reproduction or perpetuation of the species. It's like so much is based of that in our thinking. You can't believe it. Like, people get very unhappy if they can't reproduce, and all this kind of thing. Like, it's all based on the misidentification. That is just, if you look at it, really, it's like, wow, that's so much pain and so much sorrow. For what reason, actually? It's like, for a dream, indeed. It is for a dream that you feel all this pain, and without knowing that there's an alternative to it. You know, so this is huge. So the word, I love the word mistaken identity confusion. That's a whole package. It's a human package of misery, in fact. Like, oh my God, so many hearts are broken just because of that idea. Mistaken identity. Just a mistaken identity, that's all that was. It can be corrected instantaneously. Sort of as a little sidetrack, but I love it. So if you will look back at the description of the effects of revelation, and I hope to find that, I will look it up and share it with you. You will see that there are some similarities in the experiential results, but hardly in the content. Revelations, oh yeah, here's that what I was looking for. So that's really great. The description of the effects of revelation. Here they are. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. So suddenly you enter into a sphere of absolute knowing and freedom of fear. They represent the original form of communication between God and his souls, before the intrusion of fire and ice made this possible. Fire and ice. What is that about? It should be noted that they involve an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation. which man tries to find in sexual relationships. Here it is. The confusion is responsible for the depression and fear which are often associated with sex. Sex is often associated with lack of love, but revelation is purely a love experience. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. As it was said before, the subconscious impulses properly induce miracles which are interpersonal and result in a closeness to others. This can be misunderstood by a personally willful consciousness as an impulse towards sexual gratification. Okay, so let's stop here for just a second, because that's already quite something. So the idea of revelation then, and that is like, it's not under conscious control. It's not that you can say like, okay, I'm ready for a revelation, bring it on. Like, no, that's not going to happen that way. So that there's a perfect timing of that. It happens spontaneously. Totally cool. Like, totally cool in the sense of I have nothing to say about it. So I accept that. Then it is like an absolute closeness to creation. An experience of closeness to creation in a way that's just all-encompassing. You're completely involved in it. So then the miracle impulses coming from the other way, like this, the subconscious, is like for a moment when you allow, say you're with a brother, you allow this to come up in you. You see that the defenses are fading for yourself. You become open to share and say love your brother with your whole heart. And when I say brother, I mean sister, brother. But sister is not being used in the Course in Miracles for a very specific reason. And I can talk about that one day. But here, so the idea of brother. You're with a brother. The defenses fall away. You start to come into, say, a moment of love extension and recognition of your common source. So it is like it represents a closeness to your brother, as if there's no time, no distance, no nothing like that. You completely, say, in the human terms, you fall in love for a moment, but you fall into love vertically, like it has nothing to do with earthly facts or body shapes or none of that. Like this is a direct communication as an expression of the love for your brother in the recognition of your true source. That is a miracle. You know, that is a miracle. So that's great. So when you allow yourself to be that open, and you can feel this when I speak about it, it's like you can feel this closeness. It's not a physical closeness, it's a closeness. You definitely feel your connection with your brother deeply, beautifully. So then, here it says, it's like the tendency then to recognize this as a moment of, say, coming into a, say, horizontal love relationship is there. It's like, it simply is there. You associate it literally with that because you recognize similar feelings that you would have for someone that you fell in love with or fall in love with. So here it is like, don't go there. Don't do that. You don't have to do that. I'm not telling you what to do, of course. But this is like, if you want to experience the totality of the, say, holy instant or the miracle for you with your brother, be aware of this. Like, don't translate it into any, say, horizontal association. Keep it just there for you and your brother to be there. because it has a freedom that you cannot have with say, a physical relationship. So it is like, it is what it is in the moment, and then suddenly that's gone. But the memory of it is there. It's like it is temporal. It is a moment of that. It is a sudden shift. Suddenly that happens. You feel the communication and your total love for your brother. That's it. Does it have consequences? Do you need to start a relationship with this person? No, it just confirms your total connectedness. It's like entanglement, if you want. Temporal, spatial entanglement. There's a communication that will always be there. And that is not depending on physicality whatsoever. But it's based on the recognition of source. I can tell you this. Like, the hardest thing is not to associate it with physicality, with, say, the horizontal translation of it, or the horizontal identification with it. And speaking from deep experience, that's really true. So this is so great if you take time to take a really good look at this, because see, the thing is that in allowing yourself to feel the love for your brother, the total love for your brother, you bump up against some memories maybe. That's like, well, yeah, I'm a little careful with that these days. And you have your reasons. You have your memories. So what you made of love in your mind is something to be undone. It is stopping you from falling into the complete and whole experience of it. So here, this is really where practicing the holy instant is for, practicing the presence, as Joel would say, practicing the holy instant of joining with your brother, being in communion with your brother. It's another term that the Infinite Way uses, like being in communion with your brother. In that moment, it's always momentary recognition, momentary remembrance. That is your opportunity. You will practice that. There's no way, two ways about it. You will practice that. You will come to that. But what I said before is like, you have your reservations maybe temporarily, or like, no, I'm not completely open to do that, or I have some memories that I still need to get over. But this, what I'm talking about, has no, so to speak, no residue. That it has no consequences other than that you feel the connectedness to your brother. So it makes it easier to let go of your ideas that should hold you back to completely love your brother. But in our coming together, in our way of communicating with one another, this is totally an option. Every time we meet, it is an option, and it's happening. But it's an option given to you continually. So your own, how can I say that? So it's like your own integrity is important in this. Like the way that you deal with this is really important. That means, what I mean with that is this, it's like base the relationship on your recognition of a common source. And you're fine. That is the easiest. You can still love one another completely in the recognition of source. I love you for your love for God. That's a great expression. It's like, I love you for your love for God, because in that I can come with you. I totally love you for your loving God. Like in that I'm so one with you because I love God with all of my heart. I love to fall into that with you. See, and that has no horizontal association. It has nothing to do with it. So I made my point here, I think. So these are the basics. There's no coincidence that it's the first part of miracles and revelation. It's like, no, this needs to be clarified. Let's get it out of the way. Like, let's talk about it, take a really good look at it, and don't forget about it. Just keep reminding it. When you fall in love with your brother, completely holy, think about it. Don't associate it with, I can tell you this, but you will have your own experience anyway. So that's lovely too. I have nothing to say about that. So, all right, so are we warming up? Can you feel that you start to sweat or something? Or is this exciting to talk about? I think so. Yeah, it's great. I'm really happy that we do. And so I continue with one more piece, and then, see, like I said, this is like a whole book. It's very great to take another look at it. So we will come back for sure. So one more time, the effects of revelation, which is not what revelation is, but the effects of it. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. Well, that would be delightful, wouldn't it? And you don't have to do anything for it. It comes to you. They represent the original form of communication between God and his souls, before the intrusion of fire and ice made this possible. It should be noted that they involve an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation, which man tries to find in sexual relationships, but physical closeness cannot achieve this. So revelation is purely a love experience. The revelation unites souls directly with God. And listen carefully. And the miracle unites souls directly with each other. Revelation unites souls directly with God. The miracle unites souls directly with each other. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. You experience this in your consciousness. This is essential because consciousness is the state which produces action, though it does not inspire it. So what does that mean? Man is free to believe what he chooses. What he does attests to what he believes. So why is this sentence after what we just read? So the essential, this is essential because consciousness is the state which produces action, though it does not inspire it. It produces action. Man is free to believe what he chooses, but what he does attests to what he believes. So you can read it like this. It's like if you experience your closeness to your Creator in a very intense way, that has an effect on how you act. So you have a conscious experience of God, so to speak, and that has an effect on how you behave, how you continue. So that is what is meant here. And why is that important? Well, you will see that later when we continue, if we continue reading this, you see why that is so important. See, if you're unconscious of your relationship with one another and with God, well, turn on your television and you see all about it. Or turn on your YouTube channel and it will tell you all about it. So it's like the expression of separation. So when you start to have different experiences, whether they come directly as an experience of revelation to you, or it comes from, in recognizing your oneness with your brother in the miracle, that does something with the way that you're going to behave yourself. You see this every day. You recognize this in yourself. Like, oh my God, yes, indeed, I've changed a lot. Like so many things I would never do anymore. And that's really because of my spiritual development or my spiritual experiences. So that's why this is really important, because it saves you a lot of, say, learning by, well, that isn't it, that isn't it, that isn't it, as a human does. You know, it's like it chooses from the whole repertoire of denial of truth. It chooses a little segment of that, continuously turning around the same circle. And awakening mind gets information from outside of the frame of reference, whether that comes from the miracle, whether that comes from revelation. So that puts different, say, information into your functioning, into your behavior. So it's inspired from above, but acted out in consciousness. So that's really clear. I love it. I love it that I can spit this out, so to speak, to make it really clear to you. It's great to have this overview. I can tell you that. It's really great. So, I want to leave this for now. See, it is so great because in the Awakening 40 days, we have been sharing so much about experiences. So this is the 22nd day, and we still do that. There's still more aspects of it that you didn't know of, maybe knew about, but now it's like in your awareness again. It's like, okay, well, this is great. So I'm going to practice with this. I'm going to see how this works, and maybe read sometime this text one more time to just be completely open to receive it, and to start to get a feel for what it says. So thank you for listening to me, and for your part in it. Thank you so much. Let me see. I actually want to read a prayer. So luckily I have my Jesus is Praying book here. Father, I thank you for today and for the freedom I'm certain it will bring. This day is holy, for today your Son will be redeemed. His suffering is done, for he will hear your voice directing him to find Christ vision through forgiveness and be free forever from all suffering. Thanks for today, my Father. I was born into this world but to achieve this day, and what it holds in freedom and joy for your Holy Son and for the world he made, which is released along with him today. Be glad today. Be glad. There's no room for anything but joy and thanks today. Our Father has redeemed his Son today. Not one of us but will be saved today. Not one who will remain in fear. And none the Father will not gather to himself. Awaken heaven in the heart of love. Father, I thank you for today, for the freedom I'm certain it will bring. So I just want to be still for a moment with you and let this all fall into place a little bit.
illumination. Self-realization, the hunger of people from every nation. Although sought, it cannot be taught. Into the world I came like you. I grew in the world away from what was true. I fought the fight of my life to break through. Drama, disappointment, and discord drove me there. To that place of nowhere that became everywhere, which is now here, the site of illumination. It took the death of me to reveal my divinity. Illumination.